what you see here is Babe the Blue Axe. It's my Epi Les Paul. I just picked it up about a week ago, and I'm about to make my first modification to it, which is to install a Bigsby B5 using a Vibramate. So here it is. They just showed up in the mail a couple days ago. I'm finally getting a chance to put them on. It'll be replacing the tailpiece right here, going right about here. I've also ordered, but it has not yet shown up, a roller bridge to replace this, but I'll install that when it comes. And so when I was doing research on putting a Bigsby on a Paul, there wasn't a whole lot about it, and 99.9% of them are putting on the B7, because traditionally that's what you put on a Les Paul, and the B5 wouldn't fit. But thanks to, again, the Vibramate here, we can put the Bigsby B5 on the Les Paul, despite the figured top. So, that's what I'm going to do. And this is my phone that I'm using as a camera, so I don't know if I can keep it going during the entire install. I don't have anything to mount it to. But I'll at least come on and turn the video back on and grab pictures and assemble it all in the end so you can see the process. Basically what we're going to do, though, is remove the tailpiece right here. Well, I'm going to remove all the strings, of course. Then remove the tailpiece. I will mount the Vibramate here. These two holes right here, they're going to go right basically into this guy here, and it'll just sit here. And then the B5 will mount onto this with these holes here, which are where you would normally screw it into the body. We won't have to do that. And so, yeah, I chose the B5 because I wanted to show a little bit more of the body, and I didn't want the big tail piece coming down here. And like I said, I wasn't going to screw into my drill into and screw into the face anyway. So with the Vibramate, it gave me a choice of whether I wanted to do the 5 or the 7. And I just chose the 5 because I like the shape. I think the curve will look nice against this curve here. I've got a B5 on a Gretsch guitar, and I like the way it looks. And it's the same kind of basic body shape. So anyway, that's going to be the first mod. I'm going to pause the camera right now while I do the first step, and then I will bring it back on in a sec. Hang tight. Pulled the strings. They're all loose from the headstock there. And I'm just going to leave them here in the tailpiece, because then when I pull it off, they all just all come together as a cluster, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a screwdriver here. Let's see if I can do this while holding my phone really quick. So I just got the screwdriver in there. Yep, there we go. I'm just going to pull the tailpiece right on up here. Get the angle. Alright, so we're removing this guy here. And that just comes right out. The tailpiece is off now. And now I can pull these completely off. Alright, I'm going to pause it and pull the packaging apart, and we'll move on to the next step, and I'll, again, try to photograph as much as I can. But as you can see, my tailpiece is off, and we're going to just remove these guys here as well. So I've opened up the Bigsby kit, or the Vibramate kit, rather, and it came, here's the instructions, which I just reviewed, and pleasant little sticker here. And the little thing that tells you how to identify, where is it? Here it is, how to identify the US versus metric. I've got an Epiphone, not a Gibson, so I'm using metric. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this right here, like this. And it came with the screws. Let's see, here's one of them. I'm just going to, the metric ones here are the Phillips head. They used flathead for the American ones. Let's see if that really fits. Yes, it does. And there's my other screw. We're going to set this one up. I'm doing this through the camera lens instead of by hand so I can get a good shot. Sorry, guys. Alright. So tighten this guy down. Man, this is the moment I wish I had one of those GoPro cameras I could just mount to my head while doing the whole thing. Alright, that one's a little tight there. We'll get it here. I got a screwdriver now. This one's going down nice and easy. This one, not as easy. But I think that was just because I was doing it by hand. So here we go. Alright. You can see it's in there. You can see there's a little space here at the very bottom. Let me see. I mean, you can see under there. But that's okay. My Bigsby's going to sit flat on there, and it's going to sit nice and comfy. And it'll still work beautifully, I'm sure. here we go. I'm going to get a couple more tightened bits here. Alright, I'm going to turn it off again for just a sec while I unpack the Bigsby B5. And then we'll mount it to this plate and restring it up and go from there. Okay, so I have unpacked the Bigsby. We've got it sitting right here in the box. I've unpacked the hardware, and we've got some screws that would normally go into the body of the guitar. But since we're using the Vibramate, those won't be necessary. We've also got right there the washer, and in the paper there the spring, which I'll unwrap in a minute, that will go into this area right there. And the Vibramate I've just got sitting, or the Bigsby I got sitting right here over the Vibramate. The Vibramate came with these screws here. Let me get it focused in. There are two longer and two shorter, although they're all really short. And the instructions say that the longer ones go in the front holes, the short ones go in the rear holes. So I'm going to put the camera down for a second, get all this lined up and started, and get it screwed down, and I'll be back in a moment. Before I do that, on the back of the Bigsby are these three felt pads, and when using the Vibramate we have to remove them. We have to remove them before we install it. So I'm going to go do that first, and then we'll install it there onto the Vibramate. In and see, here's, let's get the focus back on. There we go, it's focusing. There we go. Screw hole number 1. There's number 2 right there. Numbers 3 and 4 back here and here. We've got the spot now where the spring goes and the washer. And actually, I've never built one of these. I'm assuming the washer goes in there as opposed to down there, and the spring just sits there. And the spring should be able to go either way. This is a pretty tall spring. I'm actually kind of surprised. And when I first set this on here, let's do this, it felt like the bar was sitting up pretty. Let's back up. Might zoom out a bit here. Okay. It felt like that this guy was sitting up pretty high, but I think that once the strings are on here and there's some tension, it'll hold it down a bit. So there we go. There's the installation. Go from there. So there's that. I'll get her restrung up, and hopefully that roller bridge will come soon. And yeah, so there we go. Got a Bigsby on her. The big reveal. We've got the Bigsby on. It's all strung up. You can see it. Does. It's looking great. It's playing great. Sometime in the next week or so, actually just probably in the next few days, I will be getting a new roller bridge. And so I will be loosening up all these strings and pulling them out of the way and pulling this bridge off and dropping that roller bridge in. Which should help a little bit. I noticed when I do a little bit of this movement here, at least when there were just a few strings on, that the bridge itself had a little bit of movement in it. So that roller bridge should help with that. But yeah, it's playing great. I just was playing it for a couple seconds, and I'm stoked. As I mentioned before, let's see if I can get the camera way down here. You can see that it actually sits up off the guitar there. You can see the pad. And so it's really only holding tight right there. But like I said, I've known other people, not known, but in doing my research, saw that other people were doing this sort of thing with the B5, and I love the way it looks. Let's do this. Let's step around for a second. Just get a good shot here of the B5 up on that blue transparent guitar. So there we go. The real McCoy right there. I got it on. I'm pretty stoked. Alright, that's it. And it only took really, if I weren't doing the video, the whole thing, it took longer to restring than actually put the Bigsby on. And that's an absolute fact. So, there you go, folks. That's the deal. Cheers.